Hi, welcome to Toilet Paper Diaries. Today, we're going to be looking at 11 fun things that we all used to take for granted and really enjoy and will probably never ever do again. And if you do, don't say we didn't warn you. It's the Toilet Paper Diaries.
Hey, Dave, we missed you last week. I had to do the show on my own. We are right now starting episode 95. And it was a crazy week. How are you?
Better, thanks. Well, not a lot better, but enough better to be able to go on camera. Yeah, I guess it's part of old age or part of staying in your seat 24 hours a day and working from there. I just needed to look after my health a little better. And so now I'm drinking water. I'm being a bit more healthy, a bit more boring. But what can you say? But we're back. We're in force. We're live. And we're sharing all the stuff that people need to know about stuff they'll never see again. How are you?
Exactly. I'm great. I'm very excited. I was this weekend. I was for the opening game for the Houston Astros in Minute Maid Park. And I think this is just a very appropriate episode because, of course, many things that we used to take for granted there on the stadium are not there. I mean, we are right now on starting month 14th on the pandemic. Right now, you go there to the stadium and they wear plexiglass covering the entire field so that you cannot approach there. You cannot get any more autographs while people are doing the batting practice or where they are warming up or whatever. Previously in the past, I mean, you could just take your baseball and a pen and they will, after they finish, they will go there and sign autographs for the crits. That's just not happening anymore. There's no cash allowed in the stadium. So that means that you can, I mean, they even check your wallet so that you have no cash. Everything is done through either credit card or they have their own payment system over there or QR codes and whatever. There's no tickets. There's so many things that have changed. And I think this is just an interesting thing on what we're going to be talking about today.
Isn't it just? So with that as well, I mean, I'll tell you where I think that's going to go. It's going to end up with sports being replaced a lot by those gaps that people can't be interactive. They'll have augmented reality. So and virtual reality. So you'll go along and that bit that used to have something in it that you would be interactive with, you'll be able to wear glasses or you'll hold up your phone and something interactive will happen in that space. Don't know what it is yet, but it makes sense for holograms or something to make the whole experience better. Because at the moment it's a little bit stale. And if your team loses, it just feels like you should have watched it from home because then you don't even have to sit in traffic on the way back.
So we put together a very interesting list of things that I don't think they're going to come back, but they're going to change. I mean, I think this is just how things are going to go now. So, Dave, why don't you get started with the very first one?
Before we do, I'd just like to give a tribute to Prince Philip, who passed away. I won't say tragically because he was 99 years old. So at some point it was going to happen. An incredible human being, certainly represented a royal family for a very, very long time. 73 years, I believe, he was married, which is quite incredible. I can't imagine, I shouldn't say that because my wife watches the show. But anyway, to Prince Philip, to royal family, to being British, and to anybody else who feels the same way. Cheers.
Yeah, so now the Queen is single again.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I'm married, so otherwise, you never know. She's worth it.
Would she go on Tinder?
She'd be on what's a granny's version? It's not Grinder. I don't know what it would. No, I don't think she would be. I don't think the Queen is ever going to go on that because I think she's got her own plans.
Yeah, exactly.
I think there's juicy things happening at the. No, don't just stop. Let's move on.
Let's just don't go there.
Oof. There's enough of that to just hide away from. Okay, so we're looking at 11 things that we truly believe are never, ever, ever, ever going to be the same way as they were again. I'll start off by talking about this thing, which matters so much to every single person growing up. and it's blowing out the candles on your birthday cake. It never gets old. It never gets boring. Once a year, even if it's an office party or it's your 50th birthday or it's your 70th birthday, you've got to take your teeth out. At some point, somebody is going to present you with a birthday cake with a candle, or so many, in my case, it burn my eyebrows off, and you get the privilege of blowing the candle out. After which they take the candles away and everybody takes a slice of cake and enjoys it together. There's no way I'm ever eating a cake that somebody else has spat on ever again. And I've got to say, what I used to enjoy for my birthday, whenever I got a cake, the tradition was you had to stick your own face in it. And that was what made it really funny. That's doable, but eating other people's cake with spit? No.
But just think about it. I mean, I've never considered it, but it has always been a disgusting tradition. I have no idea how come that survived. And it ended up dying right now, but it actually makes sense.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, there's no age where you can turn around and say, you know what, that's a really good idea. If somebody's really small, 100% it's got spit on it. If somebody gets a little bit older, it's probably going to have alcohol on it as well. And somebody gets much older, it's probably got, snotty nose and other bits. So, yeah, I'm not going to miss that. To be honest with you, I'd rather just have cake.
Yeah, well, just think about Prince Philip. I mean, Prince Philip, 99 candles. That would have been really a lot of spit on the cake.
So. Wow. You know what? In June, he was going to turn 100. That would have been incredible. But yeah, that's either a lot of candles or a lot of cakes. Yeah. We're not sure which.
So that was number one. On number two, this one, in a way, I'm happy because as you know, I am a big hookah aficionado, or a shisha.
Like hookahs?
No, not hookers. Hookah, shisha. Here in the States they call it hookah. There in Dubai they call it shisha, or bubbly, as you want to say it. And I remember that everything was like, well, let me have 2 drags and then you pass it along. And that is just not going to happen, whether it is a cigarette, whether it is a joint, whether it is taking a drag from your friend's vape. I don't think that that's going to happen ever again. What do you think, Dave?
No, it's not. But one of the things that's changed anyway, I mean, when you do it in Dubai, it's become it's been around for generations, having hubby bubbly or shisha or the hookah pipe. And so just like the bong, whoever uses it, or even crack pipes have probably changed as well. But in Dubai, they'd always change the filter for you. So the guys would create it for you, take out their own filter, put your fresh one in for you, and then you'd use it. So it's kind of been a precursor of that anyway. But the idea of having somebody spitting near you is just not very good. And it also means that you do have the person who's blowing it up using it and passing it to other people, which puts them in a position where they could catch something. It's not good. So you might have to stop, Ernesto.
Yeah, or smoke on my own.
All right. Or train your dog to do it for you. All the above should work. Yeah. So that's going to go. Number 3 is something that I have indulged in as an adult. I've always felt guilty about it, but I can't stop myself. It's letting your kid jump into a ball pit. So when you go to fast food places, normally like the big golden M, or you go to any of the other fast food places, sometimes they keep the kids occupied while the parents are just waiting, taking a big breath and wondering, how long can I carry on with my little one jumping up and down and making lots of noise, especially after they've had so much sugar in this fast food joint. You send them up to a ball pit or a little slide or something that swings so they can just get out of your hair for a little while. Now, it's never hygienic. Sometimes people would go missing in there. Sometimes you'd find a shoe. And I have no doubt that sometimes kids have brought food in there that they never recovered. But the idea that it's just a place where it's just wide open for catching anything. It's like just immersing yourself in a cocktail of COVID, even with a vaccine. I think it's a real no-no. So that's going to disappear for now. The idea that the kids are going to be, not able to catch anything, I think that's even testing the most trusting of parents. I think they're still going to say, yeah, but I can. You stay out of there.
Yeah, one of my favorite scenes in the Big Bang Theory is Sheldon just getting into one of those pools and Leonard actually trying to find him. And that, of course, it's history because that will never happen again.
No, and the Big Bang Theory won't happen again. So two things to be feeling sad about at the same time.
That is correct. Now, this one is for the ladies, and that's number 4. And most likely, you went to the mall and you sat down in the the place where they have the makeup, whether it was Bobbi Brown or whether it was Estee Lauder or where it was Maybelline or whatever the brand it was. And they were trying, or they would be giving you the after work makeover before going to work makeover. That's just not going to happen. I mean, can you see yourself actually sitting there in the mall with somebody putting makeup from some sort of powder that has been used by God knows who? That's just never going to happen again.
I'm going to pull you up on two things. First of all, I don't think it's a women-only thing. I think lots of men will go and get not necessarily a makeover, but get some kind of pandering treatment, because men do go for getting their nails done and they do go for getting groomed and all the rest of it. But I think what's going to happen with that is
Dave, let me interrupt you then. Have you ever done it? I have.
No, of course.
Oh, in that case, in that case,
I'm a real man. No chance. Anyway, I know lots of people who do. But what I would say is that all they'll do, because the makeup people are still going to make it happen, they'll just have disposable units. So it's a one size, put it in the bin, sampler will happen more and more often. I know it means you lose a lot, but they're not going to want to lose that opportunity to sit somebody down, give them a makeover, and not sell them to something that's going to cost a couple of $100s. So I think they're just going to change around the system. So they won't be using testers, but you'll be using disposables.
Yeah, it's very popular. That's exactly what's going to happen. I cannot even talk. It's very probable that's exactly what's going to happen.
And as soon as they do, you'll be in there getting your lippies done and all the rest of it. So you look beautiful as well. Yeah. So there you go. Number 5 is going to an escape room and fumbling around in the dark, trying to find the next clue. Now, if you've never been to escape rooms, they're really exciting. You've basically got an hour to make your way out of a room by finding clues that you're given at the beginning of a session. If not, then imaginary gas will come into in fact, real gas comes in if you're locked in with your friends, trust me. But you've got clues to try and find a key or a picture, or twist around something that reveals something that then leads to something. And they're really fascinating. And you work against a clock, and it's all about connecting. It's all about bonding. And it's a great way to get your team to come closer together. But there's so much passing of information to each other and so much reliance on hold this while I do that. People will not do social distancing, and they won't go in a room that hasn't been sanitized completely before. So unless those escape rooms are going to be wiped down, so it's going to smell like going into a freshly cleaned toilet, I don't think it's going to happen. Saying that, it will happen. There will be people who will go and they'll sanitize it in between each person. And so it's just not going to be the same experience. It won't be grubby. It'll be like an escape room in a hospital.
Yeah. Yesterday, I went to a art show, and they had signs all over the place. Before touching the art, make sure that you sanitize your hands. Now, the question is with the sanitizing is that they're also saying now the CDC had said over here that it's very difficult to actually catch COVID through surfaces. So I think this one might be a little bit, might be easing up or easing off throughout the next few months or years. So I don't know. I mean, that's just something to think about.
Well, yeah, I mean, it might be true that you start looking at surfaces as being the culprit, but you're also stuck in a very enclosed space for an hour with people, masks or no masks. So you're going to be breathing in the same air as them. If you've all been vaccinated and you all work together anyway, maybe you take that risk. Yeah. But I think it's watch this space.
Yeah. Number 6, and this one is going to go into several directions. So let's just explore multiple things that are going to change. Basically, going to clubs. I think the moment that we start going into bars, into clubs, into crowded pubs, I don't want to be really next to everybody, just hitting shoulders and elbows. And that's just the least part. I mean, imagine hooking up. I mean, would you actually hook up with just somebody there and start kissing or something like that? Like, we used to do when we were younger.
Well, this goes into an even deeper thing. First of all, I won't be doing it because my wife won't let me.
Okay.
Also, you've got to look back at the world that we were in. You and I come from a world where you would go out on a weekend, you'd get as drunk as you possibly can. You'd also find somebody you found attractive, see if you can get them one step more drunk than you, just to see if you would be able to hey and have a good time. Now, if you did have a good time and you did like each other, you would then date. And then as a result of dating, you might end up marrying. So the end kind of justified the means in the ritual that we had. Now, if you're thinking this is really terrible and so on, wait with it. Because if you look at what animals do in the wild, you've got blooming black widows that kill their husbands. So don't talk to me about the mating ritual. But what I would say is, I mean, I've been happily married now for what, 15 so years. And in the last 10 years, there's been a load of people who backdated that experience to say that they were taken advantage of during that period of time. Now, here's the challenge. It was built in that you would take advantage of people in my day.
Mm-hmm.
So every single person I know, male and female, took advantage of somebody in that whole drunken night out thing. If that goes away, then I don't know how people are going to play. So I don't think it's going to go away. I think people are going to take the risk and they're going to play it, and they're just going to have a mask on or not a mask on, the same as you'd have a thing on your hoo-hoo, ha-ha.
Well, here's an interesting one. And this is, I think, a very relevant point at this point, because what happened was that everybody said, well, we were going to have a corona boom. That the moment that we went into lockdown, everybody was going to, be procreating, and there were going to be a lot of kids which have been born right now. And in reality, there was a big dip in kids. And but in the other hand, Pornhub and all the porn sites actually have a spike in use. So what does that tell you? I mean, it's an interesting thought.
Yeah, I think that human nature needs to be set back on track again, because simply, I would hate to be in a situation where I was single. The last year or so must have been incredibly brutal. When I see the spring break guys, going to Cancun and defying all the rules about social distancing and drinking and partying, it's not just about the fact that they're flouting the rules. It's human nature. Unfortunately, they have no choice. You spent a year not going near another human being, and then you go out and suddenly everyone's drunk and naked at the same time. Let me think about this. So I think it's a challenge in many cases, plus the fact that for many young people, they have better resistance than most. I think once they're vaccinated, I think there'll be more letting it go and let it go ahead. But it's incredibly difficult for anybody who's single, the loneliness and so on. And it's true for people married as well. I think we do need our human contact. How that portrays itself and how that turns out to be, watch this space. Until then, there's Pornhub for everybody.
So you think that swinger parties are going to survive?
I don't think swinger part. Well, I don't know. I've not been to many, as in any. But I don't know. Because here's the thing. When you talk about those kind of things, people were going along and kind of nobody would sign a document saying I'm clean. They just go in and do whatever they did, whether it's meeting somebody else's partner or just having a great big free for all. Nobody's signing anything. So all I think that's going to happen is they will just add a layer of green card saying you've been vaccinated and then go back into what they were doing before. I think the people who play are going to play anyway.
That's right.
But what do I know? Okay, next up is something that everybody will have done at some point, which is just share a straw with other people at a party. So maybe you're going to an after work drinks event, or maybe it's somebody's birthday, or you're in a club, or somebody says, try this, it's really nice. And they get their drink and they hold it to you, and you might take a sip from your straw, or you might get your own straw and sip it in and do that. But it doesn't matter, you're drinking from the same bowl as them. That's not going to happen anymore. Even the bit when you get a straw and you stick it in, you put your thumb over the end of it, you lift it up and drop it in. That still means you're taking the drink from somebody else, unless it's just been poured and you try it together. which is a possibility. I can't see that happening. And the real shame about it is I remember many times that you'd go to like happy hour and you just get a big drum full of cocktail. And it was almost big enough to swim in, but certainly big enough to spend a lot of time getting bonkers with other friends on. And you would just have that bonding experience together. Sadly, I think that's going to disappear, which is not so sad for me because I don't end up being the person who had to drive us home anyway. So I'm not going to miss it one bit. But you can always still do it at home. But if you're at home and on your own, what's the point?
Yeah, I fully agree. And, you know, that's one of the memories that I have from most of my youth in the Middle East, going to Trader Vic's and ordering that barrel. There was a huge barrel that they will put it in the middle of the table. They will bring a straw for everybody, and everybody will drink from that from the big barrel.
You throw in the ice, you throw in the fruit juice, you throw in the alcohol, and it was just a great way to spend an hour and a half saying goodbye to the real world.
Yeah, I did it so many times in the Trader Vic's, in the Crown Plaza Hotel in Dubai.
Plaza.
Also there in Bahrain, we were there together. We did not do that, but yeah. I mean, it's just so weird. I mean, right now, trying to adapt yourself, and now that we're coming out of the lockdown, how many things have changed? I mean, right now, we just picked a few, but I think it's an important thing. If you have seen some things that you think are going to change, please let us know. Please write it down here on the comments. Please, because these are things that we are noticing. But I mean, every time I go out, I see something which it's different.
Well, all the ones that we talked so far about have all elements of swapping spit. And mating is all about swapping spit as well, but so is sharing drinks and going into vape together and all the rest of it. So I think anything that involves bodily fluids is going to be a bit of a challenge.
So next one, it's going to be board games and all these things in bars and pubs. I think mainly, I mean, if it is at home, I don't think that that's going to change that much. But I mean, how many times we've gone to places and asked for the backgammon or asked for the Monopoly and whatever everybody has been touching. I mean, right now that makes it filthy. I just feel uncomfortable doing that.
Well, a good friend of mine is a magician, and he was doing a special night for New Year. So it was a special evening planned by a company. He was the entertainment turn. And one of the things he said was, here, I've got this pack of cards. Shuffle this pack of cards. So he gave it to a guy. The guy got the pack of cards, shoved it in his mouth, then give it back to him. So he had no choice but to throw it in a bin. So that might have been seen as a funny joke amongst all the staff, maybe. But that's the kind of thing where you go, hold on. So that pack of cards goes in the bin. So what I think you're going to find is that people will actually buy a game from behind the bar.
Yeah.
So you'll say, right, I want to play Monopoly. Well, we've got Monopoly here. It's going to cost you $10 to buy. Okay. And so we'll just stock them. And then you can take it home with you, or you can leave it for people who are left behind, whatever. So I don't think it's going to change dramatically. I think there'll be less people wanting to play with them. But then again, if it's a conscientious bar, a conscientious place, they may say, well, you know, surfaces are going to be clean within 3 days. So maybe you just need to put it on the side for 3 days and then you can play. I don't know. We'll have to see what the rules are. Probably none. People do what they want to.
So how about shops, for example? I mean, you go there and start touching stuff. And how about, for example, whenever you go to the bank or whenever you go to whatever it is, and then you have your kid playing with the whatever stuff that you have there. I believe that those things are definitely also going to change. I mean, there's going to be a lot less exchange with whatever crap they were used to putting there for playing or for doing stuff.
Yeah, I mean, talking about crap, I mean, what about going to the bathroom? They're saying that the worst germs that you ever picked up are actually in an elevator pressing the numbers of the different places to go. Now, okay, maybe you can do voice operated, but it depends if you've got a really bad accent or you're in a different country. You might be saying the floor number for 20 years before it moves and takes you where you need to go. You might never go home again.
That reminds me of this video. I think we should have a look. You know, there's these Scottish people trying to go to floor 11. Let's just have a look.
Voice recognition technology in a lift in Scotland. You ever tried voice recognition technology?
No.
They don't do Scottish accents.
11.
Could you please repeat that?
11.
11. 11.
11. 11. 11.
That sounds Irish, not American.
What, doesn't it?
11. 11.
You for the same part of England as Dick Van Dyke?
Listen, yours then, smart ass.
Please speak slowly and clearly.
Smart ass.
11.
I'm sorry. Could you please repeat that?
All right.
Yes,
so,
brilliant. But also, just any point of contact where you have to touch stuff that other people touch is going to be really weird. I mean, we're going to a cashless society now, so the needs to go to the bank are far less than they used to be anyway. So a lot of the places where you were going to interact, maybe you're just going to do it online on a conference call, or you're just going to do it for an app. So that's going to take away a lot of the problems. The main problem really was swapping money. But we're going to, if we're not already at a cashless society, as you established at the beginning of the show by talking about going on to baseball, then we can't be far off now.
yeah, absolutely.
Next up, number 9 is one of my favorite things, and I'm going to be sad to see it go, and that's drunken karaoke. Any karaoke, but drunken karaoke. That bit when you go in with your friends and you just start singing songs you know that are completely inappropriate for your range of voice, or you got one person in the group who's very good at singing and everyone else drinks too heavily and they start joining in thinking that they have suddenly turned into Robbie Williams, Elvis Presley, or Madonna. No, you haven't. You're just as bad. You just can't hear it anymore. And then you sometimes stand next to somebody and share the microphone, or you pass it around and everybody sings a line, and all the things that you had fun with. Now, it's one thing to say, yeah, but maybe you won't use a microphone, but there's no fun in it. The whole point is having a microphone that's got echo on it, and a microphone that physically allows you to feel like you're on TV. By using it, it allows you to feel like a pop star just for the 2 or 3 minutes of murdering a song. So, I mean, I've been to a number of events, live events, where what happens is they sanitize your microphone. They have a little plastic, almost condom on it, which it sits with until it's your turn. Then they take it off. That's your microphone. And then when you finish with it, it's disposable. They put it away, get it cleaned before they give it to anybody else. They've got a ritual of cleaning it, putting a new top on it beforehand. That's even for having the side ones like this and having them as lapel mics. So the sound and light industry has already got onto how they have to sanitize microphones. So I think they'll get past it. But I don't think that a lot of the places where you and I used to go and do karaoke have heard of sanitization anyway.
Yeah.
So I think that it's going to survive in whatever form it's going to be. And it's not the same singing loud to your friends. It's got to have a microphone.
Well, the last time that we were singing karaoke was in the Marketers Cruise with our good friend Simon Coulson. And I mean, I remember it was a lot of fun, but that just basically takes me back to another thing that we have not included on the list. And it is the cruise industry. I was yesterday watching a really interesting video about the mess that has happened with the industry. I mean, they have a certain ebb and flow where they, when the economy is good, they go up. When the economy is down, they go down. But they have never been completely shut down. And right now, also, I don't think that anybody that doesn't want to get the vaccination is ever going to get on a cruise ship. I don't think, because the cruise ship is a cultivation soup of all sorts of diseases and whatever. So they are not going to allow absolutely anybody without getting a vaccination. So sorry that I actually got sidetracked to this one, but this one is, no, I think, someone which is very important. I mean, I think it's going to change forever.
It's true, because you got to think about places that have got so many moving parts that everybody interacts with. So with a boat, it's constantly moving. So at some point, you might hold on to rails to go up and down stairs, because you're going up and down stairs all the time. Getting into the little elevators, you've got to press the buttons. Going up to the buffet, you're picking up the food, you're putting it back down again. You're touching all the spoons, all the knives, all the forks. Even when you go and you pick up an extra fork, you're touching other ones on the way to get it. So there's so many moving pieces. And I think that the biggest tragedies from the whole experience of COVID came from the stories at the very beginning of the people who were trapped on cruise ships, and the staff had to look after patients, but obviously just clients at the time who'd caught COVID, and the staff couldn't get off. They wouldn't let the staff off the boats. So they're almost giving them a death sentence to just stay there and do their duty. So I think people are going to be in two minds about getting onto a boat, not least the fact that many of the people who do go on cruises are the most susceptible to the complications of COVID. Typically, a cruise is for an older person who says, I've got the money. In fact, it's probably cheaper to travel on cruise ships than it is to live in a house in many cases. And that's going to be a real challenge for the industry to come back.
Yeah, it is weird. And, till this day, most of the ships are just basically floating around somewhere because they cannot be in a dock somewhere because it's cost them a lot of money. On that documentary that I was watching, they were explaining that because, of course, there were hardly flights anywhere. They had to repatriate everybody on ships. So basically what they did is they got, let's say that they had 7 or 8 ships. They said, well, these ones are going to Asia Pacific. These ones are going to Europe. These ones are going to the Caribbean, Latin America. And then they basically distributed everybody through their closest ports of call so that they can deliver their employees. I mean, I honestly don't think, because we always think about the hotel industry, we always think about the airline industry, and we always think about the events industry that has affected us so dramatically. But in reality, just imagine that we were into the cruise industry. I don't think, it's for me hard to imagine another industry that has been so much affected, and that it doesn't matter what happens, the sequels of what's going to happen with COVID are going to continue to affect this industry forever.
I think I know it sounds a ridiculous analogy, but if you think about zombie movies, where the worst places you could ever imagine being stuck with a zombie holocaust, and being on a cruise ship comes top of the list. At least in a hotel or a resort, you can escape to somewhere. On a cruise ship, that's it. You are stuck. And as much as I love being on cruise ships, and we had some incredible experiences on them, you need to be interactive. You need to share the same space. In many cases, it's a small space. And you need to be not worrying about sanitization, because if you catch a cold, everybody else is going to catch it. And this is a cold to end all colds, as we know. So, yeah, I think that's going to be a challenge. So what's next? I would say that the shopping experience has already evolved to deal with it. And I'll tell you why I think it evolved. In the UK, we had a thing called Argos. I think you've got similar things in the US as well, where Argos saved a fortune by allowing you to go into the front of the shop. You wouldn't walk around, you pick up a catalog, you choose the stuff that you wanted to buy, and they would then basically bring it to you. The nearest I've seen to that experience is something like IKEA. Now, IKEA still allows you to get a shopping trolley and load it up, and sanitization can work for that as well. But having a display that you can walk around, choose what you want, and then just basically take it off or order it through an app and collect it when you get to the other side makes the most sense of shopping anyway. For me, it may make me a lot happier as a guy who hates shopping, because then it becomes a lot faster. There's less touchy-feely, but that's exactly what the problem is with coronavirus, and a lot more choice of where you go and how you experience it. In any shape or form, I think that actually plays closer to the way that shopkeepers would prefer to have this experience, because there's going to be a lot less cleaning things up and a lot more creativity about displays. So they will constantly change displays to bring out new ranges of things, new opportunities, new pricing. So they'll be plenty busy, and they won't have to worry about people messing up their display because nobody's going to be allowed to touch it anymore. So I think you've got an online and offline experience. I don't think we'll see the death of shopping malls, but we will see a lot more boutique experiences of shopping.
Yeah, but I mean, also consider supermarkets. I mean, in my eyes, the supermarkets have changed dramatically. I mean, even though right now there's no force in making sure that you have the mask supermarkets everywhere, they're giving hand sanitizer, they're giving those things so that you can, the shopping cart or whatever surfaces they're around. There's many other things. And that's why, I mean, this is the way I see it. How is the way that you see it, Dave, there in Dubai? And that's why we're asking everybody, well, if you see something that has changed somewhere there in your area, let us know, because we find this incredibly interesting. Right now, it's like we're coming out of our shells. We're trying to see, well, what happened after the apocalypse? And we are discovering that the world has changed.
Yeah, in Dubai, I mean, Dubai's been open for about 8 months now. And so we're all very conscious about the numbers. Certainly there's mask wearing everywhere. Nobody's not wearing a mask. And there's social distancing whenever that's possible, not everywhere. And some people aren't doing it, and it's illegal to not do it. Every event that I go to, it's compulsory about the social distancing for seating, no walking around eating and drinking either, just in case there's a mess. But in the malls and in the shopping places and in supermarkets, you just shop as per normal. There is everywhere sanitizer for those who feel that they need it. And so I keep it in my pocket, same as before. I don't wear the gloves like I did before, but I do sanitize in and out. I do think that that's going to disappear after a period of time, because that must be costing a small fortune for the supermarkets. And I think a lot of people will just start forgetting to use it, but only when they see, like, as you say at the very beginning, if they say that surfaces are not the main carriers, and I think that those will go back to normal faster than you would believe. But whatever do come out to be the actual carriers, like we're not wearing a mask and not breathing on people, will still stay.
Yeah. And you know, this next one, this one actually really saddens me, because me as a good Latino, I love hugging and I am very much into touchy-feely. And, you know, the last couple of friends that I have seen that I haven't seen for a long time, I mean, we have just gone like this with the elbow. But in most cases, I mean, it's just the very short high from far away. And that really makes me sad. I mean, I haven't seen you for over a year. If next time I'll see you, I hope that I'll be able to go, I'll hope that I'll be able to hug you. But it's just something that definitely.
No, you won't. You're not hugging. We'll keep a safe distance and high five without touching. Be like that. How are you? Good. How are you? Stay back. Stay back.
But it's sad. I mean, it really saddens me. That this is the one that saddens me the most.
It's true. I mean, I've got to say, shaking hands was a horrible thing anyway. I didn't really enjoy shaking hands with people I like. There's a given that you shake hands and it's meant something. You also don't see often people washing their hands after going to the bathroom, to be honest with you. So the people's sanitization levels was varied at the best of times. I found that the things I hated most when it came to business is shaking hands with somebody who's got a limp fish. And so you basically take their hand and just sort of clasp it like that. And you walk away feeling dirty because they just hadn't shaken your hand. It's like
a sweaty hand.
Or a sweaty hand.
Shaking hands
like that. Not good. But then again, you also get the idiots, the bone crushers, who grab your hand and squeeze it like that because they want to prove that they're superior, or give it a twist so they're on top like they're playing arm wrestling. I'm not going to miss not having to deal with those idiots anymore.
That reminds me of Trump and the Japanese Prime Minister.
Yes, I know. And I remember that was a very famous character. I think it was on, was it an Ali G show or something? It was a guy who would shake hands and not stop shaking, or a lady who would shake hands and never stop shaking. You have to Google it. Really, really funny. And shaking hands and looking like that and smiling, I think it's a Japanese person, to the point where you just go, can you get off me now? It's kind of weird. I think that we're going to miss that interaction. We'll find different ways, or we'll keep a distance. But here's one of the things about it. I think it'll disappear in the bars and in the clubs because it has to as part of the normal mating ritual. And I think we'll just find things that do substitute it. I've had a couple of friends that I've met who we've had a hug, and it felt weird. It felt violating. And it would never have felt like that before. It just seemed weird. And same thing, I've been to business events and people stuck their hand out and have shaken their hand after just agreeing on something. I mean, afterwards you're thinking, is this right? And so I've sanitized straight after, and I felt like it was disrespectful, but I also felt that the disrespect was it made sense in the world that we're in right now. I'd rather disrespect somebody and hurt their feelings, even though they don't even see me do it, than catch something and bring it home to the family. So it's, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see what the norm becomes after that.
Yeah. So those are the things that we have seen that they're never going to go back. But I mean, of course, I don't think that we have covered everything. And we would like you guys to let us know what other things are going to change, or what things that you have changed in your city or in your country. So I think it'll be very interesting to find out more. Dave, 95 shows together will continue. We're getting closer and closer to 100, which I'm really excited about. And it's been a pleasure as usual. Good to have you back. I missed you last week.
No, same here. It's good to be back. I was a little bit unwell, and it wasn't a COVID thing. It was just a probably grey hair, old fart thing. But at least we're back in track again. So have a wonderful day. Enjoy the show. Leave your comments and make sure to share it with everybody else. And make sure you subscribe so we can get straight to you with our next episode of the Toilet Paper Diaries.
Bye-bye.